benchmark day, really, because the process is going on now for a number of months, and there's a framework, as you heard today, for this process to move forward. So this is really a great day, I think, for folks in the East End, for folks who care about future development of the city, obviously for soccer fans, for Dynamo fans. It's a marvelous day. The next step is for us to hammer out a lease arrangement with the Sports Authority. We should do that relatively quickly. I think the parameters of that lease arrangement are already set in place. And then it's a matter of giving some support to our construction industry by starting this project. We've got architects and designers coming down in early May, so we're sort of off to the races in terms of designing this building. We hope to have the shovel in the ground at some point this fall, whether that's November, perhaps December. And our goal is to open up the 2012 Dynamo season. We start off usually at the end of March, early April to open up the 2012 season in the new stadium. I don't think so. The site has already been diagnosed in terms of any environmental issues or archaeological issues that exist there, so it seems to be a clean site at this point, and I don't see any other stumbling blocks that can stand in our way.
Yes, some of the opposition there, whether it's residents.
Yes, sir. We've been working very diligently on that particular process. There's a lot of issues that have to address, but we think we can get that done.
Well, I think it's all very sincere, and I credit those folks for taking the time to come down to court and express their feelings. I do think there's a significant economic benefit. I mean, when you spend $60 million of private money on any construction project, there's real economic benefits. Tell that to the drywall guys or the electricians who otherwise wouldn't be getting those jobs. We're going to try to keep as many jobs as we can within the hands of local subcontractors and contractors. In terms of noise abatement for local residents, we're going to do our best to design this building to shield those residents from some noise. But when you decide to buy in downtown, you're going to expect some noise. That's just the nature of a vibrant, growing city like Houston. And we think this spot makes all the sense in the world in terms of access to the rail line, shared parking with the Astros. We've really, whether it's by accident or by intent, have developed a great downtown sports district. And I think when you add Reliance Stadium into the mix, we've got, to mix my sports metaphors, we've now hit for the Grand Slam, we're hit for the cycle with 4 beautiful buildings, the soccer building being the fourth of the 4.
Oliver, this has seemed to take a while. What was the sticking point at this point? Because they kind of agreed in principle today, but they'll have to come back to the Commissioner's Court.
Well, I think what we heard today was that the commissioners agree on the framework of this deal. And we heard from David Turkel, who's been the county's negotiator with the city on this deal and with the Sports Authority. So I think at this point there are some future items that have to be discussed and voted on, but they're relatively insignificant in the grand scheme of things. So we're at the point now where we feel confident enough that we're going to start spending our money and to get this project up and running and hopefully have a shovel in the ground by the fall.
Can you tell me again a price tag for this and when you think you'll be up and running to start it?
This is an $80 million stadium. That's hard and soft costs. And we hope to be in the new stadium come the opening game of the 2012 MLS season, whether that's in March or early April, in the springtime of 2012.
How important is it for the county to explain the unique nature of this agreement?
I think it's very important because, think about it. We're all sort of Pavlovian citizens in this area, and we've been accustomed to Minute Maid Park getting built through the Sports Authority, Reliance Stadium through the Sports Authority, Toyota Center through the Sports Authority. All great buildings in my mind, which have been tremendous additions to Houston, but they are all funded through a hotel and a rental car tax through the Sports Authority, which required a public referendum. We are not using any Sports Authority money. There's no money there to be used, given the downturn in the economy and the downturn in receipts from hotel and rental car taxes. So folks have become accustomed to that process. This is a fundamentally different process, and we're bringing a much larger share of private capital to this project. And as you heard today, and as you heard last week at City Council, I think most of the elected officials believe this is actually a very good deal for the taxpayer because we are carrying the bulk of the risk, bringing the bulk of the money to the table. And as a result, I think it's important to sort of remind the taxpayers that this is not at all a deal that's similar in any way to what was done with the 3 other stadiums.
Oliver, can you talk about the need for a stadium? When you look at Robertson, as far as the condition of the field, the guys are practicing at Rice Stadium
Yes, so
right
we
now?
can,
For those who
we
may
do that
not
all the
be
time. We
really
also
into
need to
soccer,
start
talk
with
about the
the
need
quality
for
of
a
the physical
facility.
programs.
Well, first of all, I would say the U of H has been gracious to allow us to play there for the first 4 years and into years 5 this season and year 6. But we've got a multitude of issues there. It's not a happy marriage between a university with its own athletic program, primarily football, and a professional soccer franchise. So we have problems with dates. We have problems with working with some of the U of H vendors. As you mentioned, we had to move our training over to Rice University because the conditions at U of H right now, in terms of training for our players, are intolerable. So this is something that's going to make a big difference for our franchise.
The stadium usage
All right, let me say, the RVU basically is a measure that measures productivity, if you will, but they're ranked by specialty.
Yeah, we're used to the dual use field. We've seen that at Robertson Stadium for years with U of H. So I think there's no real
Thank you
concern.
for all you've done in the years past.
That RVU.
Thanks, man.